just before we get on to the next story, we're going to talk about the BBC TV licence, Labour planning to give them free to anyone on benefits. That's good, isn't it? So that means if you're not on benefits, trust me, your BBC TV licence, the price of it will go up to fund the free licences for people who don't work. But before we get to that, Pete, still with the BBC, welcome to Planet BBC, everyone. A woman, they did a series in 2016 called, it's a BBC series called Black and British, A Forgotten History. This was based on the discovery of a Roman skeleton of a woman found at Beachy Head down there in Sussex, the highest cliffs in Britain, I think. She was from sub-Saharan Africa. And yes, Black and British, A Forgotten History. Very interesting, fascinating. The thing is, Pete, it now transpires that the BBC's first Black Briton was actually white. She wasn't black.
Well, Professor David Olusoga, who presented this documentary
it would be him, wouldn't it? Yeah.
For the BBC, is much revered, you know, by
Not
those,
in my house.
by those of a left-leaning disposition. And everything he says is taken as absolute gospel. And, of course, he's often banging on about reparations for slavery and such like. He can often be found beating those kind of drums, yes. And there he is, a professor no less, putting his reputation at stake in 2016 when he says, this is Britain's first black person. Well, actually, this
earliest skull, Black Britain.
Yes, this skull was had been stored in a box, okay, in Eastbourne, but of course technology has advanced since Professor Olusoga's claims, and DNA profiling has actually shown her to be white, of blonde hair and light-coloured eyes, so not remotely black.
Yeah, so it's a BBC series. You want that music out? Wah 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 wah. The BBC's first ever Black British resident was a blonde white woman. As I say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Planet BBC. What do you think of that? I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's so BBC, so anxious to discover that sort of thing. Just thought I'd let you know that.
But they have a whole department called BBC Verify to ensure that everything goes out is the absolute truth. We verified it and we checked it. I mean, really.
The BBC, it's got like 63 people in it. Its bill is millions of pounds every year. They're always getting things wrong. You know, you can't have that BBC Verify, you know, we check the facts, So, yeah, BBC journalists saying, yeah, I've done this story and and I can guarantee 100% that this is true because I've checked it with BBC Verify. You know, I mean, that's like when you're in your policing days arresting a crook and him saying to you, no, I can guarantee you I didn't do this, you know, because I'm a crook and you can trust me. It's ridiculous. BBC Verify is an utter waste of money, and only a self-satisfied, pompous organisation like the BBC would appoint itself, almost anoint itself, the guardian of all truth. The trouble with the BBC Verify department is it's always getting things wrong. So take that with a pinch of salt. But you're right, Pete, they might have checked Britain's first black woman. BBC Verify. Imagine saying, "This is BBC Verify. Can you check this out?" Yeah, we checked it out. The black. She's white. Oh dear, what a joke. Still with the BBC though, a more serious story. Outrage, Peter, as Labour plans free BBC TV licences for people on benefit streets, people on benefits and welfare. So in other words, that we'll have to fund. Those of us who work will have to fund free TV licences for those who don't work. This is just ludicrous. This is Labour. This is their entire ethos is this, isn't it? It is bleed businesses and working people dry to hand it to the welfare state and the public sector.
I keep a close eye on my finances. Sarah, my amazing wife, kind of runs the family finances, but I'm always keeping an eye on my account you know, to make sure that I'm not going to go overdrawn and that I've got enough money for however many weeks of the month it is left until I
Long
get
train journeys
get
to see
paid.
QPR lose.
You know that
in
kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know that kind of thing. And I was looking at it the other week and I thought, oh, that's all right. I've got a few quid until I know I'm going to get paid for some work. So that's fine. And the following day, I looked at it and went, oh, that's gone down quite dramatically. Let's have a look at my transactions. And what was it? My BBC licence that had gone out. Over 170 quid, because I do it as a one-off payment every year. Because it's cheaper than doing it in instalments. Right? I went, blimey, that's a lump of money, isn't it? If only I'd been on benefits now, under this plan, I wouldn't have lost that amount of money. I wouldn't have had to pay for that amount of money. And as you've quite rightly pointed out, who's going to foot the bill for this? It's going to be another huge payment on the welfare bill, which is already in excess of £110 billion a year, is running rampant as more and more people decide that they're going to live on benefits and not go to work. And who pays for all this stuff? We do. The grafters, your audience, everyone, Alarm Clock Britain, we pay for this.
Yeah, and this is Labour's approach to everything. That somehow or other they see it, you know, everyone on benefits, on welfare, huge amount of people, millions of people now, that somehow or other really vulnerable people, underprivileged people that we all have to help. If it's stretching to you know, so here's a plan. You know, £174.50 at the moment. I believe it's about to go up to the best part of £180. The TV licence, that is. Here's an approach. You know, it's a lot of money for a lot of people. You can't afford your licence. Hi, boss. I'm resigning. I'm going to go on a dole. Why is that? Well, I want to get a free TV licence.
And I'm a bit anxious.
Yeah. Yeah, watching the BBC will make you anxious. Interestingly, though, the BBC won't like this. The BBC doesn't like giving away free TV licences. So whilst I don't remotely agree with this, it's all wrong. It's totally wrong. If it upsets the BBC, well, you know, at least there's something positive to take from it.
But where is this burgeoning welfare bill? Where, how and when is it ever going to be trimmed or otherwise reduced? Because this government can't bring in welfare reforms because their lunatic left backbenchers won't let them. Remember when Starmer tried to do that a few months ago, and all his backbenchers said, no, Prime Minister, you are not bringing in welfare reforms because we like people lying on their sofas all day long being shoveled loads of money from us, the workers. So where's the reform going to come from? Because the bill is unsustainable. This is what the politicians are not actually getting a grip of. We have to pay for the NHS, we have to pay for the schools, we have to pay for the army, we have to pay for the police, and I would say they are all greater priorities than this burgeoning welfare bill. And if they got a grip of it, the truly deserving, okay, those people with disabilities that can't work, who actually don't get enough money, the really properly true deserving, they do not get enough. They could be given more if we got the frigging, shall we say, some of those who choose not to work when they could work, if we got them into some form of employment or otherwise contributing to society.
Exactly. What do you think about this, folks? Should, or if you're a working alarm clock Brit, what do you think about the fact that you are going to have to fund free TV licences for people on benefits? So you're working, you have to pay a boosted amount in order for free TV licence to be given to people who aren't working, people on benefits, people on welfare. What do you think about that? 03444991000. While we're on the subject, Peter, what do you think about these various proposals? They're coming in from the Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy, about plans to kind of change the funding system of the BBC. I think anything that gets rid of the licence, the compulsory licence, I think is a good thing. But they're talking about potentially bringing in limited advertising. They're also talking about potentially putting key top programmes behind a paywall, so things like Line of Duty and Top Gear, you know, they have to pay to get that, or maybe even go into some kind of subscription model. I mean, when Labour are beginning to accept that this ludicrous mandatory by law, compulsory by law TV licence system is outmoded, is anachronistic. When Labour are considering that, because the Labour just loves the BBC, you know that the TV licences days are numbered.
I think there's an inherent fairness in that we pay for the BBC licence, and yet its material is enjoyed around the world by millions of people who get it for free. So how can that be the case? You see, if I have a subscription because I want to watch a football channel, that's fine. I pay for that. That's my choice.
Yep.
Likewise, if somebody in Spain or Australia or India or Ethiopia wants to buy a football package, they can do exactly the same. But with the BBC, for example, the World Service is listened to around the world by people who pay nothing for it in all those aforementioned countries. And yet we do. It doesn't make sense. If they want to break it up into packages, subscription packages, say you want a radio subscription, fine. So that I can listen to Test Match Special, for example, which I have to say is a brilliant commentary product. I would pay money to listen to that. I actually, when I'm watching the cricket on the telly, I have the radio commentary on because it is so much better.
So you think the paywall system might be a good idea?
Yeah, break it up into different packages, not one big blanket thing, because the BBC is so huge, from the World Service to Radio 1 Extra, which I've never listened to, and so much more. It's a vast, vast organisation. Do we need BBC 3 and BBC 4 on in the evenings? Do we need those channels? Do they need to be paid for? Let things stand on their own 2 feet.
Totally
Everybody else in the commercial world has to.
Absolutely.
Why not the BBC?
Yeah, make the BBC, or present to the BBC, the commercial imperative. It always improves the quality of productions, always improves television programmes, anything. Competition is good. If you've got to pay your own way, you're going to make sure that the programmes you make are popular, are good, and are going to bring in the dough. If you don't have the commercial imperative, which the BBC certainly doesn't at the moment, you get lazy. The BBC, you know, OK, it still makes some good stuff, and as you say, cricket commentary, it's got areas of excellence, but a lot of the stuff the BBC churns out now is just not very good, not high quality, because they're not in competition with anyone. What would you think, folks, about going behind a paywall and having to pay for, say, Line of Duty, say, Top Gear, the cricket commentary, sports? What would you think about having to pay to get behind a paywall on the BBC? A subscription system, maybe. What would you think about that? Do you think it is time to change the funding system of our state broadcaster? Let me know.